Hi, Humanity Church. This is Marla Neighbor, Connections Pastor. And this month, for our Humanity First story, you are in for a treat. I got to speak to Bob Hilton, who happens to be a really good friend and what feels like family member at this point. And, you know, some of you might relate to this, that we do life with a lot of people, and sometimes you might even be really close with folks, but you don't always get to hear the nuances and the emotion and the dynamics of stories of their life growing up. And so that was what I got the opportunity to have with Bob and my time with him sharing. And he shares into some really powerful places around his faith dynamics growing up, from his particular background. He shares about what it was like to be in the Vietnam War, and then entering into a biracial marriage, with the areas of the world being so polarized between blacks and whites, and what that was like for him, not feeling like he fully fit in either place. And then he also shares with some self-awareness into what I think a lot of us could relate to around God revealing some stubbornness of wanting to do things solo, and just the way that both through his mom and through his faith, he was able to come to a place where he recognized that he needed people. Enjoy his story.
In our time in church, we'd sit at the pew waiting, kind of like for God to come by. It's like mom taught us in church, and most of our pastors or leaders in church were all women. So it would always be that there's a type of praying that would repeated itself, kind of like speaking in tongues, to where it made you think and believe that God was coming by and you were going to get swooped up and get saved. So it was like kneeling at the altar until you believed that Jesus was coming to save you. And from that point, as I got older, it got kind of stale. It kind of drove me the wrong way, but in a way that I decided, I'm going to do this on my own. I didn't lose touch of my spirituality. I fought a lot with people over it, telling me this and telling me that, because we had the war going on then, and it was the blacks, the whites, and me. After that hit to the 4 years of military, I got married at a young age. After I got out of the service, I ended up in Long Beach, California. And that's where I ended up my first marriage. Again, a difficult time, because her parents did not accept me as me. There was a lot of racial tension going on, because my wife then was a white girl. And her parents really didn't like me a lot. I went through that struggle, kind of the same thing in the military as I was going through. My mom always said a hard head makes a soft behind. And a lot of times I have to learn and be pressed and understand you can't do this by yourself. Stop being so hard-headed. I can hear that, my mom saying in the back of my head. Stop being so hard-headed. Put it together. Listen to what people are saying. Don't try to do this by yourself. Life in 2014 for me changed my plans. I had a heart attack, or actually a stroke, that put me in the hospital for 4 or 5 days. It was tough to depend on someone again to step out and lift me up. God has been good. I am now 70, and I've had a few strokes after that massive 2014, but God has been good. Working in the hospital, we had God and I had a long line out the door of people and family from our body that was just there. They just came out of the woodwork. People couldn't have any room sitting in the waiting room because God's people loved on me. And they kept checking on me. And the responsibility from them to me was just amazing.